This is a retired airport shuttle bus. This is a steel arch design the US Navy invented in 1941 to survive beaches nobody wanted to be on. And this is what happens when you bolt the second thing onto the first thing. A real curved steel Quonset roof, not a stylistic knockoff, mounted on top of an actual shuttle bus chassis, finished out as a genuine luxury home that can still start its engine and drive away. I know that sounds like two completely different builds mashed together, because it is, and by the end of this video you'll know exactly what it costs to actually do this, down to the dollar, why combining a moving chassis with a stationary arch design creates an engineering problem neither build has on its own, and whether the final result is a smart home or just a very expensive way to make a point. Before we go further, if you like builds that actually mix two ideas instead of just picking one trend and running with it, subscribe now, because that's what this channel does every single time. And here's what I want from you. Comment your guess for the total cost of this build right now, before you have any of the real numbers. I'll reveal the full itemized total later in this video, and I want to see how far off the two different builds mashed together price tag actually lands from what you expect. Why combine a bus with a Quonset roof at all? Let's start with why anyone would do this instead of just picking one approach. A shuttle bus gives you something a ground-built Quonset home can never give you. A complete steel floor, walls, chassis, and drivetrain already assembled, engineered, and road legal. A Quonset arch gives you something a stock bus roof can never give you. A curved steel structure that sheds water and snow far better than a flat panel, and distributes load around its curve instead of concentrating it on a beam. Put them together, and you get a home that starts with a rolling foundation and finishes with one of the most structurally efficient roof shapes in prefab construction. That's the actual case for doing this, not just the look of it. What a Quonset roof actually is, bolted onto something else. Here's a detail that matters and gets missed constantly. Real Quonset-style arch roofing isn't only sold as a full ground-up building. Several manufacturers sell curved arch roof kits specifically designed to bolt onto an existing structure, shipping containers, concrete block walls, even an existing set of walls that weren't originally built for it. That's the exact category this build lives in. Instead of pouring a foundation and erecting arch panels from the ground up, you're using the shuttle bus's existing steel walls as the existing structure the arch kit bolts onto, in the same spirit as a container roof retrofit, just adapted panel by panel to the width and length of a bus body instead of a standard container. The size mismatch nobody talks about. Here's a wrinkle that's specific to this exact combination, and it's worth knowing before anyone gets excited about copying this build. Standard Quonset arch kits are engineered around standard building widths 20, 30, 40 feet across, because that's what the market for garages, workshops, and ground-built barndominiums actually needs. A shuttle bus is roughly 8 feet wide. That means you're not simply ordering a stock kit and bolting it on, you're asking a fabricator to engineer a much narrower arch than these kits are typically designed for, which changes the load math, the panel curvature, and the bracket spacing all the way through. It's absolutely achievable, but it's custom engineering from the start, not an off-the-shelf install, and that reality is baked into the labor and fit-up cost later in this video. The bus problem. A body built to flex. Here's the part almost every version of this video bus or barndo skips entirely. A shuttle bus body is engineered to flex slightly as it drives, absorbing bumps and road vibration the way any vehicle body does. A permanent structure is not supposed to flex. So before a single arch panel goes on, the first real job is stiffening the bus frame and body welding in additional crossmembers, reinforcing the floor where heavy fixtures will sit, and checking every body-to-frame connection point so the whole thing behaves like a stationary foundation instead of a moving vehicle. The Quonset problem. An arch that pushes outward. Now here's the problem that's unique to this specific combination, and it's the reason this build is genuinely more complicated than either a standard bus conversion or a standard ground-built Quonset home. A curved arch doesn't just carry weight straight down the way a flat roof does. The base of each arch panel is pushing outward at an angle against whatever it's bolted to. On a normal ground-built Quonset home, that outward thrust gets resisted by a thickened thrust slab poured into the foundation specifically for that purpose. A shuttle bus has no foundation at all. It has a steel frame designed to carry a moving load, not resist a constant outward push from a roof structure, which means the frame stiffening work from a moment ago has to do double duty. It's not just making the body rigid for daily living, it's also acting as the thrust-resisting structure that a concrete slab would normally provide. Skip that detail or under-engineer it, and the arch can slowly spread the roofline outward over years of sitting in one place, exactly the kind of problem that only shows up long after the cameras are gone. Insulating a curved steel ceiling over a steel box, steel, curved or flat, is still an excellent conductor of heat and a poor thermal envelope on its own that doesn't change just because the roof shape is efficient structurally. This build uses closed-cell spray polyurethane foam for the same reasons it gets used in either build on its own. It insulates well per inch, it seals every gap as it expands, and it adds real stiffness once cured. And the curve actually helps here. Spray foam conforms to an arch ceiling far more evenly than rigid board insulation would, which is one of the few places in this whole project where combining the two designs makes the job easier instead of harder. A floor plan that respects both shapes at once. Here's where good design earns its keep, because this build actually has two competing space constraints stacked on top of each other. The bus body dictates a long, narrow, rectangular footprint. The arch roof above it dictates that headroom is tallest down the center and shortest along the outer edges, where the curve meets the walls. So the smart layout does two things at once. It clusters the kitchen and bathroom at one end of the bus, where plumbing runs stay short and weight stays concentrated over the strongest part of the reinforced frame, and it keeps low clearance storage and closets along the outer edges under the curve, saving the tall center strip running the length of the bus for the actual living space where you want the headroom the arch roof was built to provide. Wait. Now a problem in two directions, and here's the number that governs almost every decision in this build. Water weighs a little over 8 pounds per gallon, and a modest fresh, gray, and black water tank setup for full-time living adds several hundred pounds before anyone even steps inside. Add a full kitchen, a shower, cabinetry, and finished flooring, and you're looking at over a ton of added static weight. And now, on top of that, the arch roof itself adds real weight, sitting higher on the structure than a stock flat bus roof ever would, which shifts the vehicle's center of gravity upward. That's exactly why the frame stiffening and thrust bracing work from Section 2 isn't optional. It's carrying more, in more directions, than either a standard bus conversion or a standard Quonset foundation ever has to. Leaning into the shape instead of hiding it, now the part you actually clicked for. Exposed curved steel ribs left visible, paired with warm wood ceiling infill between them, turns the arch into the design feature instead of something to disguise, and it reads even more striking here, because the eye isn't expecting a curved cathedral ceiling above what is unmistakably still a bus-shaped floor. A full kitchen along the reinforced end, a compact bathroom with a real shower, layered lighting following the curve of the ceiling rather than fighting it. Every one of these choices exists because of the shape stacked on top of the shape, not despite it. The number you guessed broken all the way down. Alright, you guessed a number back at the start. Let's see how close you got, using verified 2026 pricing for every single component of this hybrid build. The bus itself, a decent used shuttle bus, mechanically sound and ready to be gutted, runs $10,000 to $25,000 depending on age and condition. Call it $18,000. Frame stiffening and thrust bracing, this is the line item that's higher here than in a standard bus conversion, because it's doing two jobs at once: general rigidity for daily living, and resisting the arch roof's outward thrust the way a concrete slab normally would. Call it $15,000. The Quonset arch roof kit and custom fit up a prefab curved arch roof kit, sized and adapted to bolt onto an existing structure rather than a standard container or ground foundation, runs roughly $14 to $20 per square foot for the kit itself, plus real labor to custom fit it to a bus width instead of a standard product size. For a roof footprint around this size, that comes to about $16,000 total, kit and custom installation combined. Closed-cell spray foam insulation at the verified 2026 rate of $3 to $5 per square foot of treated surface, insulating the curved roof, end walls, and floor of a bus this size runs about $6,000. Plumbing and electrical: a full kitchen and bathroom, water heater, waste tanks, and a complete electrical system runs about $14,000. Kitchen and bathroom fixtures and finishes: the actual luxury line item, real appliances, a proper shower, cabinetry, and countertops, $24,000. Labor, permits, and contingency, and the number every honest build budgets for general labor beyond what's already counted. Any local permitting a hybrid vehicle/dwelling like this requires, and a contingency fund, because a build combining two different construction categories runs into more surprises than either one alone. Call it $18,000. The honest total: add every line item together, and you land at $91,000, plus the bus, which brings the true total to $111,000 for the entire hybrid build. Did you guess close? And here's the number worth remembering: that's actually less than either a fully custom bus roof raise done professionally, or a fully finished ground-built Quonset home of comparable size on its own, mainly because you're not paying for a poured foundation at all. The bus chassis is doing that job for free. Where this genuinely makes sense so is bolting a real Quonset roof onto a shuttle bus actually smart, or just an expensive way to combine two internet trends? Here's the honest answer. If you want the mobility and existing structure of a bus, the water shedding and structural efficiency of a curved arch roof, and you're willing to pay for the extra engineering it takes to make those two things coexist safely, this can genuinely work, and at $111,000, it lands in a realistic range compared to either build done separately with a full custom finish, where it doesn't. But be honest with yourself about the trade-offs. You're adding real weight and a higher center of gravity to a vehicle that still needs to be safe to drive if you ever move it, which means this isn't something to attempt without a qualified structural or mechanical engineer signing off on the framework. Zoning and permitting get more complicated, not less, when an inspector is looking at something that's legally still a vehicle but structurally behaves like a small building. And resale is its own conversation. This is a genuinely unusual, one-of-one kind of build, which means real value to the right buyer, but a much smaller pool of buyers than either a standard Scully or a standard Barndominium would draw on its own. Let's go back to the start. You guessed a number before you had any of the real data. Now that you've seen the full breakdown, $111,000 for a real Quonset roof bolted onto a real shuttle bus, structurally engineered to actually hold together. Scroll down and tell me how far off you were. I read every comment, and I'll pin the closest guess at the top. If you want more builds broken down, this honestly real 2026 numbers, real engineering trade-offs, not just a pretty kitchen and a nice number, hit subscribe and turn on notifications, because that's exactly what this channel does every single time. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.